So now that we're here, I created the bones for each part of the body and I got myself some motion, right? According to however I want the body to move, basically. There's his hoodie, his head, neck, some intricate parts of his hair, the Christmas cap on his head. Just basically things that I want him to be able to do, right? You're in full control here. This is not cap cut. You're in full control here, so you get to decide what happens and what does not. So read according to what you want is what I'm saying, right? That being said, let's create something very quickly and rig it, right? So I'm just going to create my first layer, call it 1. Basically call it whatever you want. I'm just going to name it, the way I see fit. Right, so let's do this. I'm going to rig a makeshift arm, just something simple. So let me explain something here real quick. So from experience, when you create joints, it would be really nice if the edges of your joints are rounded like this, and I'll show you why real soon. So the thing is, when you're bending one part of the limb over another, you want to have a smooth edge. As I go on, you get what I'm trying to say, right? So we have our first part of the arm, right? Let's say this is an arm. Let's pick, see what I just clicked here for picking of colors. Remember from our format class, let's just change the color of this one. Click and hold your color picker, get you a skin color. So let's say this is our forearm, our hind arm. You can create, the class is continuing now, so pay attention. You can create another layer and continue your creation, or you can duplicate this one if the next thing you want to create is just as is similar to this, basically. So in this case, I want to duplicate. Let's just call the layer 2 for naming purposes, for naming sake. So what this does is, it creates an exact copy of what was created in the first instance. So right now, this is what we have, right? So what I'm just going to do is spin this way. See how I'm placing the edges. So it forms an elbow. Let's say this is the character's shoulder. We have an elbow here, then going to the wrist. I want the wrist to be small, so I'm just going to do this, right? If it's not so clear, like from how to move from one step to the other, you can sketch it. Right? All right. So quickly, let's have 3. Let's see, duplicate. Let's call this layer 3. In layer 3, we're just going to move. Just going to move this like this. Alright, so I'm going to add extra point here. Let's give ourselves a weird, dull looking hand. Yeah, something like this. Just a work in progress, basically. Right, so let's say this is our hand. Perfect. So let's should I teach this now? Okay, yes, let's just go through it. So what I usually do is, you see this edge is like this. We don't want to see this in our animation. So find out what works best. I would usually leave mine like this, then use this our edge shape, our width to take out some. If it's taking out too much from the original hand, you can use this and take out the edges here, then trim this part so it's not so weird. You can add more points to the look at that. You can add more points to to give more detail or more control over it, so it doesn't look so weird. Do the same for the palm. Here, let's just take out this one. Reduce here. It's something you experiment on, so you find out what works for you, honestly. Because different characters, different approaches, basically. So we have these in check. Let's now go ahead and read. So first of all, we have 3 components that make up the hand. Number 1, number 2, and number 3, right? So you gather the 3 of them, select one, hold your shift key, click the last one, so you select all 3, right? Click here, group with selection like I explained last time. Let's call this hand, right? Then you close that. You don't want to use that for now. So right click on the folder, choose convert to bone. Makes that a bone folder. So right now nothing has changed per se. But what we have done is we have made it possible to create a skeleton for this to move. Right? So we're just going to go ahead and create that now. So first lesson in creation of bones is the first bone you create is the mother of all bones, and I'll explain what that means. So let's say the first bone we want to create is this one. From the shoulder, let's imagine there's a sphere here. This is important for appropriate movement of your object. Imagine there's a sphere here. Go to the middle of it and click from there to the middle of the sphere here, right? Let's do that. Then click from there, not exactly the middle, but just do your best to make sure it's centralized. From here to here. Now I followed this process because there is such a thing as bone parenting. Bone parenting just simply means which bone has influence over which bone. Now if you look at the anatomy of the hand, where this hand moves, these others will follow, right? Where this one moves, this must follow. So that's what we want to try and imitate right now. Then okay, I have it here, reparent bone, just in case you don't have the arrangement here. So you can see this bone points to its parent, which is this one. This one points to its parent, which is this one. You can see that this bone has no parent. This is the mother of all the bones on the arm. If this was a full character, this bone will probably point to the bone on the shoulder or the torso, that is the body that goes downwards. Because where the body goes, the entire arm follows. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to explain there. So that's one. Someone about to speak. Do I continue?
Yes, I'm following.
Alright, awesome. Okay, so moving on. The next thing we want to explore now is bone strength. So now sometimes when you don't need much detail in your animation, you just want to move stuff around, you can make use of what they call bone strength. Bone strength is basically the area of the bone's influence. So when you move, you use this to move your bones, by the way, manipulate bones. So when you move, you see how it works. You can see the bending in the arm. It can really be messy. It's just used to do some quick job. It's not really for detailed animation. So usually for the kind of animation that we do here, honestly we just take out all the bone strengths because we barely need those. So click and drag to take them out. We don't need that. It's rare to find a situation where we actually need that, so let's just skip that right now. So when you take out the strength, you'll see that the bone has no effect on your illustration anymore. We need to give it a new way to interact with your illustration, so we're going to do that right now. It's called binding. There are different ways to bind. There is layer bind and point bind. We'll explore both of them very quickly. So this is how layer bind works. You open your layers, right here. See where my mouse is? Open the layers. Let's start with number 1. So we want to bind this layer to this bone with when you select your layer, come over here, see bind layers, click that, then select the bone that this particular layer you're on should respond to, which is this one. You select this. Now test it using this tool, your manipulation bone tool, right? You test that, and it follows. Don't worry about these ones, we'll get to them. It follows, right? Let's repeat the same process for all of them to see how that works, right? So let's go to number 2. Number 2 should respond to this bone, right? Let's go to number 3. Number 3 should respond to this bone. Now let's test what we've done. This is realistic. The shoulder, from the shoulder to the hind arm, takes the entire thing. Can you see that? It's like a functioning arm now. Now, if there was a body here, the body would be static while this moves. If you move the body, the entire arm moves. Kind of like this guy. Let's go back to this main character. You can see what I was saying. Let's look at his parenting, the bone parenting. I know it looks complicated now, but when you get the hang of it, when you get how this works, it won't feel so overwhelming for you. Look at what I was explaining. The palm points to this part of the arm, this part of the arm points to this part of the arm, and this part of the arm points to the torso. Where the torso moves, I think I clicked something. Okay. So where the torso moves, the entire arm follows. Where this arm moves, the rest of the arm follows. Where this part moves, this part follows. So basically that's what parenting does. Where this part of the torso moves, the entirety of the hair moves along with it, right? So look at that. The head follows, the neck. You can see that it gives the skeleton direction, basically. Look at that. Now, when creating a full character, the mother of all bones, just like we had here, the mother of all bones. Do not think too much, but this is the mother of all bones. You can put this anywhere else, but this is kind of like a standard. I don't know why. Do not think too far. Right. So this is like a standard for where the bone usually is. So what this does is when you want to move your character along the space, since this commands all the bones, just do this. Can you see that? And since it's like the bone that has no parent, it commands every other parented bone under it. So while moving your character through the space, all the bones follow and stuff like that. Yeah, you never get to see this in the animation, so that's fun. Right, so back to our arm, right? I've shown you, sorry about that. I've shown you how to how to bind with layers. This is functional, right, for your character. Now let's bind with points.